Okay, guys. Good morning. Hope you guys are doing good. Okay, so let us start with the uh, next unit. That is fourth unit. Okay, students are joining. 2 more minutes. We can see the. I think we can see the syllabus here. Yeah, here we go. Okay, yes, we'll continue from the. We'll 8051 part. That is the what you call timer, timer and interrupt program. Okay. Why we are concentrating on 8051 as I told because next semester we have a microcontroller that is based on microcontroller, not on processor. That's why first we'll discuss 8051 part in detail. Okay. Later we'll go to the what is called now processor part 8086. That is will understand how the processor works and it helps in you know it helps in identifying the difference between controller and processor and select appropriate controller or a processor for a particular embedded application. That is a basic intention. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we'll start with the timer. Timer and counter part of the 8051. Okay, so this is the fourth unit. Yes, this document I've shared with you guys. You can look into that. I'll use the other material also, this one also, because for presentation purpose it will be very useful. So 47 on the list. Okay. Just a second. There we go. Okay. Okay, so timer part. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so page number 313. Okay, yeah. So, what is a timer? So let us first basically understand, what is a timer. Then we'll go to this detailed discussion of timers. Mm. Yeah. Yes. What is it? Okay. Yes. What is a time? I mean, the basic question. Okay. So time is a independent quantity. Yeah, we have come across time factor in most of our discussion, especially we being electrical engineers, circuit students, electrical students. Most of our parameters, either voltage or current, are measured with respect to time. Okay, and time is always an independent quantity because it doesn't depend on any of these factors. Whereas these factors like voltage, current, or power, to take any other parameter, temperature, or let us say pressure, they all depend on time. Because they're all dependent quantities. Okay, until and unless we plot voltage versus current, something like this, voltage versus current, then we can say that one is a dependent quantity on the other, something like that. Otherwise, all these parameters are dependent on time. Okay. Yeah. So now, how do we measure time? Okay, see, guess what I'm trying to say is, nobody's on the line. Okay, here we go. See, what is a time? I mean, how do we say? For example, let us say this is the timeline. Okay, let us say this duration is 1 second. This duration is 1 second. For example, not 1 second, but 1 second, for example. Okay, like this time continues. Since it's independent quantity, we cannot stop it. I mean, time. How do we control time? Not possible. Good time or bad time, we can't stop it. It simply runs. Okay, so 1 second time. How do we measure? I mean, how do we know this duration is 1 second or only this duration is 1 second? Something like that. Okay, so there is a standard way of measuring the time. Now, what happens is that all our activities, like for example, this class, is between 10 to 11. So there is a time. Okay, So whatever activity we do in our daily life is with respect to time. Time is time. We can't. We don't have any alternate to time anyway. Okay. So for our activities conducted in the microcontroller or microprocessor. Okay. Like activities like for example, let's say we are controlling some hardware. Or we are executing some task in the microcontroller or microprocessor are bound to be executed within a time. Let's say I got a one task. I need to execute one task. Okay. For example, simple example is your screen display in simple mobile device screen display time. Let us say for example there is a simple task. It is a 5 second. It is after 5 second the screen display should turn off. If there is no activity by the user of the mobile. Okay. So after 5 seconds or 10 seconds, whatever the settings we provide, after that it will turn off. The question here is that how does the device, microcontroller or a processor or the mobile device, for example, how does the device knows 5 seconds has elapsed? Who will tell the microcontroller, or the mobile device, for example, in general, that 5 seconds has elapsed so that it should turn off the display device. Okay. Or it is after some 10 seconds, some activity should be performed. There is a timer running. Okay. Who will tell the device that this amount of time has elapsed? For that, the devices makes use of an hardware called as timers. Okay, timers. Okay, fine. What is a timer? A timer is an hardware which generate standard time-based signals. Standard time-based signals. Time-based signals. What is the standard time-based signals? Let us look into that. Okay, somebody is on the line. I think they could join. Okay, maybe. Okay, what is a standard time-based signal? Let us first understand that. Yes, give me a second. I'll check. Okay, yeah, here we go. What is a standard time-based signal? Okay, see, standard time-based signal means. I'll take one example. Let us go to the next page. Okay, here we go. Let us say, guys, there is some activity going on. Okay, let us understand like this. Let us say there is a some periodic signal, some sinusoidal signal, you know, is being generated. I need to measure the time period of the signal. How do we measure this? Very simple. This is one time period. I think I can pick another color. If red color is boring, let us take another. Okay, this is the time period, correct? Let us say this is some time, let us say 1.5 seconds, something like 1.5 seconds, something like that. Okay. Let me take a smaller time because I need to measure with respect to seconds. So I'll take a smaller time. Let us say, for example, 1.5 milliseconds. 1.5 millisecond. Okay. Now, this is this time period of this signal voltage or current, whatever it is around 1.5 milliseconds. Next is I need to understand how many clock pulses, how many signals, how many cycles, to be more technical, how many cycles will appear for a duration of 1 second, where the time period of each cycle is around 1.5 milliseconds. It's how to it's very simple. See, mathematical calculation is very simple. This is just a second. How to this one I don't know how to. Oh yeah, I can remove it like this. Yeah, here we go. Okay, how to calculate? That how many cycles will appear? There is number of cycles per second. Cycles per second. That's how to find it. Very simple. 1 second divided by 1.5 milliseconds. 1.5 milliseconds. Let's say this is n number of cycles. N number of cycles. Okay. So that means n number of cycles of 1.5 millisecond each will appear for a duration of 1 second. For a duration of 1 second. Okay. So that means this what does it basically means to say is that I need to erase this part. Okay. What does it basically means to say that there is a standard time-based signal whose duration is approximately 1 second. This is time. Somebody is on the line. Somebody is on the line. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So what does it basically means to? Because I need to. Okay. So what does it basically means to say that that the signal whose time period is approximately 1.5 milliseconds, okay, is being measured. To measure this signal, we use a time-based signal whose time period is approximately 1 second. Whose time period is approximately 1 second. 1 second. Okay. So this signal whose time period is approximately, why I am using the word approximately is because again measurement error. We can't guarantee that it is exactly 1 second. But our understanding purpose, to make things simple, we can assume that it is approximately equal to 1 second. Okay, this is time-based signal. Time-based signal. This time-based signal. Second, yeah, here we go. This time-based signal. Just give me a second. Okay, this time-based signal has a time period of 1 second. Standard time period of 1 second. So within this duration, number of cycles which appear, cycles which appear, that is counted as n number of cycles which appears per second. Per second. Why second? Why not something make to second millimeter? Second is a standard unit of time. Okay. So this kind of signal, time-based signals, are used in all our devices. You take mobile phones, digital multimeters. Okay, and it is even in multimeter base, in multimeter we measure the time period, for example. Okay, how do we know it is? Let us say, for example, 10 hertz. What is the meaning of 10 hertz is? That means there is sorry, it's not time, sorry, it is a frequency. Yeah, 10 hertz. What is 10 hertz? 10 number of cycles per second. 10 cycles per second. 10 cycles per second. Where this second comes from? How does the multimeter know there is 1 second? That is because of the what is known as a time-based signal. All the measuring devices, wherever there is a time factor, wherever the task or event are measured with respect to time, there is what is known as a time-based signal. Without time-based signal, it is not possible. Okay, so thereby the devices require some separate hardware to generate these time-based signals. May not be always 1 second. It may not be always 1 second. Depends on our requirement. These time-based signals are generated using a hardware called as timers. Timers, or it's also called as a counters. What is the difference between timer and counter? We'll see. We'll understand. Okay. So this timer and counter is an hardware to generate a time signals, which is also called as a delay signal. Why it is a delay signal? We'll understand. Okay. In 1851, these timers and counters is the same hardware. It is not a different hardware for timer and a counter. It is the same hardware, timer as well as counters, which are used to basically. Okay, which are basically used to measure the delay, or which are basically used to generate the standard time-based signal to measure the delay or to generate the delay. Okay, yeah. So 80, okay. In 8051 especially, it has two timers. Because why author says 8051? Because if you go for another time, let's say another control, let's say 8047, for example, okay, there may be three timers. Yes, how do we know this? Yes, if you open the kill compiler, I'll show you that also. Okay, let us say we create a project. I think we can find out here only. Okay, right click on the project, options for target, device. Yes, I'll show you this. Okay, yes, there are many devices. Like for example, you can select so many devices. See? You can use so many devices. Let us say, for example, I select one device. Okay, this device. Observe this. It is a 8051 based CMOS controller. Of course, this microcontroller. Here there are so many parameters are there. Let us not go into those details now. Observe the number of timers. There are 3 timers and counters. Okay. What is the on device ROM space? It is 8 kilobytes. As I said, some controllers has 4 kilobytes. Some devices has, for example, 8 kilobytes. Okay. The size of the internal ROM space varies. It depends on the controller too. It varies from controller to controller. Okay. So thereby, number of timers in a microcontroller depends on the purpose for which the microcontroller is used. Because in some applications, 2 timers may not be sufficient. Then you have to go for another controller which has more number of timers. 8051, most of the 8051 has 2 timers. The same timer hardware can also be used as a what is known as a counters. Okay, So what is the purpose of basic purpose of these timers? They are used to generate time delay signals. What is the time delay? This time delay in the sense, just now we understood, this in this time base, in this time base, we are generating one second delay. Sorry, 1 second signal, for example. This 1 second signal, you know, serves as the delay signal. 1 second signal is serving as a delay signal. Why we call it as a delay? It's delay in the sense, we are generating 1 second delay. See, 1 second is generated, signal is generated, which is generated as a delay signal, so that some operation. Okay, what is the meaning of a delay? Okay, yes, just now, I think previous I can go for it. Okay, yeah, there's somewhere here. Uh, 5 second. Mobile device, for example, simple mobile, because mobile device, all of us will understand. Even the small kid, 7, 8 years old students also, kids also will understand mobile device. Okay, mobile device, let us say 5 second delay is the turn off time of the screen. Turn off time, screen spelling zero. Turn off time of the screen, for example. Okay, whenever screen is turned on, internally microcontroller will start a timer which generates a delay of 5 seconds. Which generates a delay of 5 seconds. This 5 second time is used to monitor the activity of the screen. After 5 seconds, the screen will be turned off. This time, which is used to monitor the task or an activity, is basically delay, because it has to start at 0 second. It has to wait till 5 seconds, so that this activity is being continuously monitored. That's why this time-based signal is also called as a delay signal. It's also called as a delay. Delay means waiting period. Means something, in more simple words, we can say English words. We can say a waiting period. Okay, microcontroller is a mobile device is waiting for user to provide some input through a screen. No input. It has waited for 5 seconds because setting is given as 5 seconds for turn off of the display. After 5 seconds, the waiting period, it will turn off. So that's why it is also called as a delay signal, delay time. Nothing else. There is a meaning of that. Very simple. Okay. So these timers are basically intended to generate a time delay, or they are also used as a event counters to count events happening outside the microcontroller. This what does it mean? Okay, let us go to some other page. This page is okay. Yeah. So let us say, for example, in the case, the best example for this is this counters. For example, if you go to shopping malls, there is a object counter. Okay, that object counter, that is, guys, that is a counter desk. So the objects are placed on that device. Okay, so for one object, the internal counter increments by one value. Okay, for example, first object, the count becomes 1. Second object, the count is incremented by 1, it becomes 2. Third object is placed, it is incremented. Okay, so there is a counter. These device placement on this scanner, they use the barcode scanner, to scan the object and to find out its price. Okay, and the signal is given as external signal to the microcontroller. Okay, for example, let's say this is the microcontroller, which is there available inside the device, scanner device, for example, or the counter device. So this has a timer, internal timer running. Okay, whenever an object is placed on the device, okay, internal timer starts incrementing the count. Okay, so for the timer, the signal is coming from external device. This is the external device. Okay, so external device will send the signal to the microcontroller, digital signal, of course, to the microcontroller whenever a new object is placed on this, or new object is being scanned by the scanner. Okay, so this timer continues to increment as long as the object is placed, and the object placement is not regular. I mean, say, that counter person will place one object. After 1 second or 2 second delay, will place one more object. After 10 second delay, will place. So that's not periodic. Okay, so this timer hardware, which counts external devices, external signals, okay, which are non-periodic in nature, then we call the timer as a what is known as a counter. The meaning of counter is it is counting the external signal. Okay, from where the external signal is coming from? It is coming from some external devices which are sending some signal to the microcontroller with the intention to count external event happening outside the microcontroller. Okay, that means same timer hardware is being used to count external event. Whereas when the timer is used as a timer, that means when the timer is used as a delay generator. For example, we discussed 5-second delay, screen turn off time, 5-second delay. It is counting internal clock pulse. What is internal clock pulse? Is microcontroller has a internal clock oscillator, clock oscillator circuit. This clock oscillator circuit, what does it does is it will generate some time pulses, generate some clock pulses. These clock pulses are being counted to generate a delay of 5 seconds. For example, we'll take one example, to understand the timer operation. This counting operation is more clear. Okay, for example, let us say there is a I'll go to next page. Yeah, there is a clock pulse, for example. Okay, whose duration is 1 second. There is a clock pulse whose is not periodic. Sorry, no. Okay, so whose duration is 1 second. For example, let us say whose duration is 1 second. Okay, now using this clock pulse, I need to generate 5-second delay. I need to generate 5-second delay. Okay, this clock pulse has a duration of 1 second, as a time period of 1 second. Okay, how many clock pulses? There is n number of clock pulses I have to count to generate a delay of 5 seconds. To generate a delay of 5 seconds. Okay, I need to count 5 clock pulses where each clock pulse has a duration of 1 second to generate a delay of 5 seconds. That is, I need to count 100 seconds. Then I need to count 100 number of clock pulses to generate a delay of 100 seconds. Okay. Similarly, this internal timer, will count the clock pulses continuously to generate n second delay. For example, in this case, 5-second delay. Okay. Since the timer hardware is getting the input from the oscillatory circuit, which is generating continuous clock pulses, timer operation is periodic. Periodic means its input is periodic because it is coming from a standard oscillator, and the oscillator is generating continuous oscillations. Whereas for this counter, which is counting the external event, the input is not continuous. See, input is a clock pulse, but it is not continuous. It is not periodic. One object is placed. First object is placed. For example, okay, there is a clock pulse from the external device. For another next 3 seconds, there is no object. The counter person is yet to place some object on the device. Okay. Next, he will place second object. There is one clock pulse. So here the the timer count was 1 because of the first object. Next 3 seconds, no activity. Second object is placed. The counter count becomes 2. After some, let's say 2-second delay, another object is placed. The count is 3. So this activity, counter input activity, is non-periodic. It is not a periodic activity. It may be periodic. In most of the case, it may, because it is a human being is involved. There may not be any periodic activity. Whereas for a timer input, the input is from the standard clock source. There is internal clock source, which is continuous clock pulse. See, whenever it is, whenever the the microcontroller is turned on, this clock source is continuous. Okay. So for a timer input, it is always a periodic signal. Whereas for a counter device, that is same hardware timer which is used as a counter to count the external event, the input is not periodic. It is a non-periodic activity. So thereby, event counters, there is timer hardware which is used as a counter, is called as a event counter, is used to count external events happening outside the microcontroller because it is a non-periodic activity. In 8051, there are 2 timers. They are called as timer 0, timer 1, and each timers are 16-bit in size. Okay, yes, what is the meaning of 16-bit? Very simple. Let us understand that. Okay, very simple concept. 16-bit timer. There are 2 timers. They are called as timer 0 and timer 1. They are 16-bit in size. Okay, that means maximum number of clock pulses it can count is 2 4 16. Let us say 65,536 number of clock pulses each timer can count. Okay, as just now I was taking example. This, where is that example? Yeah, this example. I need to generate, for example, it is a 5-second delay. For 5-second delay, I need to count. I need to count a timer. Sorry, I need to count a clock pulse whose period is 1 second. Whose one period is 1 second. So to count 5-second delay, I need to count 5 clock pulses so that I can generate a delay of 5-second delay. Likewise, in microcontroller also, what happens is that to count to generate some n-second delay, for example, okay, n-second delay, we need to count m number of clock pulses, okay, and to count m number of clock pulses, we need to load this timer with the clock pulse. That means there is a timer hardware, either timer 0 or timer 1. We can use them independently. Okay, we need not use them together. We can use it separately. Okay, to this timer hardware, we need to apply clock pulses. Okay, continuous clock pulses, so that it will generate. It will count a number of clock pulses. For example, for 5-second delay, let us take one example. Each time period is 1 second. 1 second. So it has to count at least 5 clock pulses to generate 5-second delay. What is the maximum number of clock pulses it can count? It is only 65,536 because each timer is only 16-bit in size. That's the limitation. Okay. So that's the meaning of a 16-bit timer. Okay. So 8051 is okay. The 8051 is a 8-bit architecture, because it's a standard data size is 8-bit. Each 16-bit timer is accessed as a 2 separate registers of low byte and high byte. Okay, what happens is that microcontroller, see, it does not identify anything bigger than 8-bit. Okay, something bigger than 8-bit, it will understand as a set of 2 registers. Okay, I'll go to the next page. Yeah, for example, timer 0 or timer 1. Okay, so they are actually 16-bit in size. Okay, 16-bit in size means there is a lower byte 0 to 7 bits and 8 to 15. Okay, so this is the lower byte, this is the lower byte, and this is the upper byte. Okay, so for timer 0, lower byte is called as TL0. TL0. What is TL0, guys? Timer 0 lower byte. Timer 0 lower byte. Upper byte is called as TH0. That is timer 0 higher byte. H for higher byte. They could have used a TU, but okay, it is manufacturer's decision. TL0. Similarly, let us say timer 1. For example, when we are using timer 1, the lower byte is called as TL1. That is timer 1 lower byte, and upper byte is called as TH1. That is timer 1 upper byte. That is higher byte. Very simple. Okay. So microcontroller 8051 can identify at a time TL0 or TL1. I'm sorry, TL0 or TL1, and or it can identify what is known as a TH0 or TH1 because 8051 is a 8-bit microcontroller, or it is also called as a 8-bit machine. 8-bit machine. For example, your laptop is a 64-bit machine, because the processor can handle 64-bit at a time. Nowadays, we have a laptop, and other devices, for devices. 128-bit devices. I think it is already available in market. That's what I have learned. May very expensive, but it's very powerful. Anyway. It's okay. I think this is clear, guys. And I think it's very simple concept. Timer. It's very simple and straight away. Okay. I think this we discussed. Let's go to the next page. Here we go. How to access this timer? Very simple. Okay. As we just now we discussed, it is accessed as a low byte and a high byte because it cannot handle 16-bit at a time, so it will handle 8-bit at a time. Okay. Low byte register is called as, that is for timer 0 and timer 1, it is called as TL0, TL1, just now as we discussed. And the higher byte or upper byte, you can call it as upper byte also, is identified as TH0 and TL1. Of course, TU0, TU1 compiler does not identify, and hence we have to call it as a TH0, TH1. Okay. This is the programming part which will come later, guys. I mean, we'll understand later. Okay. What the author is trying to explain here is that this TL0, TH1, TL0, TL1, they are identified as a register. If you go to that special function register, I'll show you that case. Okay. I need to open the other document. There is third chapter notes. So just give me a second. I'll open because I need that the what do you call, uh, that special function register block, so that we understand this what do you call, the special function registers. I'll open that. Just give me a second. Of a special function register block. So there we can see this PL0 and TL1. Yes, before that, give me a second. The count is 53. Here we go. So now where is that place? Here we go. Okay. Yes, you can identify from this special function register blocks. There are timer registers which are identified as a 8-bit register, because microcontroller cannot store a 16-bit register because it is only 8-bit machine. Okay. Address 8A and 8B correspond to timer 0. Okay. Sorry, not sorry, guys. Not timer 0. It is a lower byte of 2 timers. Okay. Yes, I'm just taking the call. Somebody's on the call. Okay. Okay, no problem. Okay. This 8A and 8B correspond to lower byte of each timer. That is timer 0 as well as timer 1. Whereas 8C and 8D, the byte address 8C and 8B corresponds to upper byte of both the timers. That is timer 0 as well as timer 1. Okay. And you can also observe that they are not bit addressable. They are only byte addressable. Okay, that's what it is. So that means timers are placed in the internal memory, the internal SFR, special function register block of 805 microcontrollers. Okay, how to access this location is, there are two possibilities. You can use the name of this register, or you can use the byte address of each register, because it doesn't have a bit address, using byte address. Okay, so that's what the author is trying to explain here. We can access these timer registers which are placed in the microcontroller using its name. Either we can use its name as TL0, TL1, TH0 or TH1, or we can use its address, like 8A, 8B, 8C, 8D, something like that. Okay, and we can treat these registers as a normal register, just like accumulator or R0 to R7, just like a normal register we can treat. We can load some value. Why do we load the value? We'll understand. We'll come to that point little later. This we just now we saw there are two timers, timer 0 as well as timer 1. Each timer has a lower byte as well as upper byte. Very simple. Okay. This also we just now we understood. Yes. Okay. So both timers, timer 0 and timer 1, use the same register called as T-mod register, timer mode registers, to set various modes of operation. Okay, so each timer has a separate modes of operation. Why modes of operation? Because sometimes we may not require all the 16-bit register. Okay, so that is each timer is a 16-bit register. Let's say, for example, I don't require all the 16 bits of a timer. Let's say I want only 8-bit. I don't want to use all the 16 bits. It's not necessary. In that case, we can go for other modes, various modes of operation, where we have a flexibility in using the timers. Okay, T-mod. Okay, what is a T-mod? By the way, various T-mod guys, if you go to special function register block, you can find the T-mod just below the timers, just below the timer registers. T-mod register. It is located at the address 89H in the special function register block. And it is also not bit accessible. It is also byte accessible. Okay. What does this T-mod basically does? It will control these timers. Control in the sense only in terms of mode of operation. Okay. It helps in selecting various modes of operation of a timers. Somebody should be there to control. Flexibility to select various modes of operation of a timer. Okay. Okay, so let us look into the T-mod register first. Okay, yes, this is how T-mod register looks like. Okay, correct. Okay, This is how TMOD register looks like. Okay, yes, in this TMOD register, this TMOD is a 8-bit register, because all the registers are 8-bit in size. TMOD is an 8-bit register. It has lower nibble. This is the lower nibble, and this is the upper nibble. Okay, one nibble is equal to 4 bits. Okay, yes, we know that the bit size names. One bit is single bit. Either it can take 0 or 1. 4 bit is called as a nibble. 4 bit is called as a nibble. Yes, 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 sorry. I need to resize this. Okay, 4 bit is called as a I don't know why this is jumping. I need to resize this. Okay, 4 bit is called as a nibble. I'm not able to write here. Just a second, guys. Okay, let me write somewhere here. 4 bit is one nibble, okay, and 8 bit is called as a byte. 8 bit is called as a byte. 16 bit is called in some controller. 16 bit is called as a word. 16 bit is called as a word. 32 bit is called as a double word. 32 bit is called as a double word. Okay. Similarly, we have 64 bit, but in most of the controllers, we don't find more than 16 bit. So these terms, not applicable for 80-bit and microcontroller. Okay. 64 bit, I think it's called as a page. I'm not sure. This I'll confirm in the next class. I'm not sure what 16 bit is called as a. Yes, I'm not. 32 bit is a double word, that I'm sure. 16. Yes, I'm not sure. Sorry. Okay. In the next class, I'll update that. I'm not sure what is 16 because we don't use 16 bits, so I'm not familiar. Okay, I'll explain that. I'll confirm in the next class. Okay. So this is TMOD register. This is the lower nibble, and this is the upper nibble. Lower nibble, which corresponds to 4 bit, are used for the timer 0 operation. Okay, so there is lower nibble corresponds to timer 0 operation. It will control the timer 0 operation. You can say like that. Upper nibble, upper 4 bits will control the timer 1 operation. And if you see the bits of the TMOD register, they are same. For example, gate bit of the timer 1 is same as the gate bit of the timer 0. Okay. Similarly, we have the CT bar. CT corresponds to timer or counter operation, which is same as that of the timer 0 as well as timer 1. Similarly, mode bits M1, M0 corresponds to mode bit of the timer. Okay, which is same for both the timers. Of course, they are the different bits, but the operation is same. Okay, let us look into this now. Okay, so upper 4 bits corresponds to timer 1, lower 4 bits corresponds to timer 0. Okay, so the lower 2 bits are used to set the timer mode. Okay, there is lower 2 bits of each nibble. So this is the lower nibble, and this is the upper nibble. That lower 2 bits of each nibble is used to set the timer. There are 4 modes of because there are 2 bits. What are the possibilities? 2 bit means 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1. So totally there are 4 modes of operation. 4 modes because 2 power 2, 4 modes of operation. Okay. So each timer has a maximum of 4 modes of operation. Maybe if you want to increase the number of modes to, let us say, 8 modes of operation, number of bits also has to be doubled. That has to be increased. The upper 2 bits of each timer specifies the operation. Okay, that is whether we are selecting the timer as a counter or a timer. For example, if you see this these 2 bits, if the bits are 0, if these bits are 0, then the timer is used as a timer. Okay, if it is 1, if these bits are set to 1, if these bits are set to 1, it is used as a counter. Okay, I guess I'll come to that point. It's not very clear here. Okay, yeah, something like this. This will explain the modes of operation in little more detail. Okay, let me resize so that we can put the something like this. Yeah. So lower. Okay. So what does this modes of operation corresponds to? Okay. As I said, there are 4 possibilities: 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1. Again, M1 is the MSB bit. This if we exchange, it becomes a wrong convention. So M0 is LSB bit. Okay, that is lower significant bit M1, M0. Okay, and M1 corresponds to upper significant bit or a most significant bit. This is very important. Okay, there are 4 modes of operation. They are called as mode 0, mode 1, mode 2, and mode 3. Okay, 4 modes of operation, and these modes of operation correspond to mode 0. For example, okay, it's a 13-bit timer mode. Okay, what is the meaning of a 13-bit? This that will come to that. Out of 13 bits, 8-bit correspond to the upper byte of the timer, and another 5 out of 13-bit. What the author is trying to say is, out of 13-bit, 8 plus 5. 8 plus 5 is equal to 13. Out of 13 bits, 8-bit corresponds to upper byte of the timer. That is either TH0. This I need to, I'll send this somewhere here. Okay, TH0 or TL1, TL0. Sorry, I made a mistake. It is TH0 or, okay, upper 8-bit, 8-bit out of 13-bit, 8-bit corresponds to TH0 or TH1. TH1. Yes, what is this X corresponds to, guys? X means either it can be 0 or 1. Why 0 or 1? 0 for timer 0, 1 for timer 1. Very simple. Okay. TH means upper byte of the timer. Upper byte of timer 0 at timer 1. Okay, that is TH0 at TN1. Another 5 bits correspond to the 5 bit of the lower byte. 5 bit of the lower byte. That is 5 bits of the TL0 or TL1. What is the purpose of this lower the 5 bits of the lower byte? It is used as a what is known as a prescaler timer. It is used as a prescaler. What is a prescaler? We'll discuss that. We'll understand that in detail. Okay. So that is about the mode 0 operation of the timer. That is 13-bit operation of the timer. Okay. Yes. What is the meaning of that is? Yes. Before I continue. Okay, just a second. Okay, this I'll come to this. Okay, 5 bits. Is it lower 5-bit or upper 5-bit? Okay, yes, I'll clarify. What I got doubt here is that it's something like this. Next page. Okay, so there is, for example, it is a timer 0. For example, it has 16-bit. That is from let's say 0 to 7, 8 to 15. This is TH0, and this is TL0. So out of in mode 0, there are it is a 13-bit timer. So 13-bit timer means it is 8 plus 5 bits. 8 plus 5 bits. 8-bit comes from upper byte of the timer. That is TH0. The 5 bits comes from the lower byte of the timer. Out of this bit, I think the upper 5 bits out of that means 0, 1, 2. Okay, 3 lower 3 bits. Next is just a second. Next 5 bits are which color is this? Blue color. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. These are the 5 bits which are used as the another 5 bits of the 13-bit timer. That is mode 0. That corresponds to mode 0. Okay. These 5 bits are used as a what is known as a prescaler units. What is prescaler? Yes, I'll come to that. I'll come to that point. Okay, little later. Okay. So the upper 8 bits and the lower 5 bits from the lower byte corresponds to 13-bit of the timer. Now, what is the meaning of the 13-bit? Okay, the number of clock pulses that can be counted using mode 0 is 2 power 13, which is less than 2 power 16. That means number of clock pulses that we can count using a mode 0 is less than maximum clock pulses we can count. Okay, so it is what is 2 power 13 is? I think it is 4,000. Okay, just a second. I need to I forgot. I need to check in the calculator. I need to okay. So 2 power, for that I need to jump to normal calculator where it is 2 power this okay, I need to, I think, go to scientific calculator. 2 power 13. Okay, so we can calculate maximum of 8192 clock pulse. Okay, if you use mode 0 operation, you can calculate a maximum of 8000. I forgot. What is that? 8192. I should remember this. Maximum of 8192 clock pulses. Maximum of 8192 clock pulses. Whereas if you use all the 16-bit of a timer to count clock pulses, we can count 65,536 clock pulses. Let's compare. Compare between these two. It's so huge difference. Okay, but this has its own advantage. Mode 0 has its own advantage. We'll come to that. Okay. Right. Next is mode 1 operation, which is very common mode of operation used in microcontroller because it is a 16-bit operation. 16-bit means all the 16-bit of a timers are used. Okay, this, if you can observe this in this diagram, all the 16 bits of a timers are used. All the 16 bits to count the clock pulses. So 16-bit means 2 power 16. There is 65,536 number of clock pulses can be counted. Okay, fine. Here we go. Okay, so that is a 16-bit mode of operation of the timer. Okay, next mode of operation is called as a 8-bit auto reload mode. 8-bit auto reload mode. Okay, what is 8-bit auto reload mode? Okay, in 8-bit auto reload mode, okay, upper 8-bit of a timer holds the initial value, whereas lower byte of the timer counts the clock. Okay, it's how to understand this because in that statement, it is not clear. I'll explain like this. Okay, new page. Okay, fine. Yes, we'll understand that using a 16-bit timer. We'll understand that using a 16-bit timer. Okay, fine. Yes, let us say for example, it's a 16-bit timer. Either timers, you can take any timer, guys. Timer 0 or timer 1. Timer, both operation is similar. No problem. Okay. So it has 16 bits. It has 16 bit. Okay. So 16 bit means I'll write in terms of hexadecimal count. Okay. So initial count can be 0000H. Okay. That means there are 16 zeros. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. So there are 16 positions, 16 bits. Okay. Initial count is 000. In terms of this is in terms of bits. If I write in terms of hexadecimal, it is 60000H. So these are the group of 4 bits. These are the group of 4 bits. So this 0 corresponds to this 0. This 0 corresponds to this group of 4 zeros. This 0 corresponds to these 4 groups, and this 0 corresponds to these 4. Very simple. This hexadecimal number system. Okay. What happens is that for this timer hardware, timer or counter hardware, one clock pulse appears, one clock pulse comes. Okay, the count will increase by 1. That means this lower bit, this is the LSB, this is the MSB. This is the MSB bit. This is the MSB bit, and this is the LSB bit. Okay, on the appearance of the first clock pulse, this count becomes 1. This count increases by 1 value. Okay, that's what is the count in terms of hexadecimal value? It is 0001. Next clock pulse, second clock pulse, this count becomes 10. Okay, that means in terms of hexadecimal, it is 0002 hexadecimal. Next clock pulse appears to the applied to the timer hardware. This count becomes 11. All other terms are 00. All other bits are 00. Okay, that's why I'm not writing that. So the in terms of hexadecimal, the count becomes 0003. Like this, the clock pulse continues to be applied to the timer or counter hardware. The count continues, and the final count is this. What will be the final count is? Let me erase here. I'll write the final count. The final count is when all the bits are 1111. When all the bits are equal to 1111. Then, in terms of hexadecimal, the count can be written as FFFFH. The count can be written as FFFFH. Okay, yes, now, when the count becomes FFFFH, and the appearance of next clock pulse, what should happen? That is the question. Okay, it cannot go to next size, because the maximum size of the timer is only 16 bit. Okay, what will happen is the timer or a counter hardware resets to initial count. What is the initial count? Initial count is 0000. So the timer or counter hardware is reset back to initial count of 0000. Yes, in the previous, what is the time? Okay, no problem. 5 more minutes. Okay. Yes, in the previous slide, we have understood, that the timer or a counter is generating a 5-second delay. Okay. Let us say, for example, I want to generate a timer which generates continuous 5-second delay. What should happen is, first it should start the count. For example, let's say there is a clock pulse which has a time period of 1 second. Whenever it reaches a count of, whenever it generates 5-second delay, just a second, let me write the clock pulse again. There are five clock pulses. So each clock pulse has a duration of 1 second delay. When 5 clock pulses are counted, okay, the total time is 5-second delay. Okay, fine. I need to continue this operation. Okay, to continue this operation, what happens is that there is a continuous application of clock pulse. So after 5-second delay is generated, this counter should be reset to 0. Why? Because next time again I have to start from 0. I have to start from 0. I have to start counting the clock pulse. Again, when the 5 clock pulses are counted, another 5-second delay is generated. Another 5-second delay is generated. That means this counter has to be reset to generate a continuous delay of 5-second delay. Similarly, this counter, whatever we have now, which is used to generate the delay, because the timer is only 16 bit in size, maximum count it can count is only 65,536. FFH corresponds to decimal value of, no, let me erase this part, guys, because I don't have any more space to write. Okay, so 16 bit of course corresponds to a count of 65,536 number of clock pulses, starting with 0 up to FFFH, because FFFH corresponds to 65,535. This 0 is in addition to this plus 1. So total number of clock pulses it can count is 65,536. After reaching a final count of FFFH, that is all bits are equal to 1, when the next clock pulse comes, it cannot count further. The count is reset to 0. The count is reset back to 0. Okay. So thereby, this is for the 16-bit operation. 16-bit operation. Okay. That means initial count is always 0000. Initial count is always, so this 0 is called as a initial count, and FFH is called as a final count of a 16-bit timer. Let's imagine what is for a 8-bit timer. For a 8-bit timer, what will happen is, this is 8-bit timer, something like this. It is 8-bit timer. So for an 8-bit timer, something like this, for a 8-bit timer, it starts with 00000000. That means its initial count is 00. Initial count is 00H, and the final count is only FFH. Why? Because it is only 8-bit timer. Okay, initial count in most of the timer operation is 00, but we can change this initial count to some other value. Let us say if you start with 00 and go up to FFH, maximum clock pulses you can count is only 256. Let us say I don't want to count 256. I want to count lesser number of clock pulses. Then to count lesser number of clock pulses, we need to change initial count, not the final count. Say final count is always FF. All bits are 1. That's the final count. We can change only initial count to some other value to count lesser number of clock pulses. That is done in a mode 2 operation where initial count is always loaded to upper byte of the timer, whereas the lower byte of the timer is used to count the clock pulse. Because only 8-bit is used, maximum number of clock pulses we can count is only 256, and initial value will be automatically loaded from upper byte to the lower byte of the timer. Okay, because what does it mean is, I go to the next page, and there's a last 1 minute. Okay, there is a let us say, for example, we are using timer 0, and this is TH0, and next we have, let us say, TL0, the lower byte of a timer. Okay, initial count is loaded to upper bit of a timer. How to count the initial count? I mean, how to calculate the initial count? That we'll see later. Okay. Let us say, for example, initial count is, let us say, 54H, for example. Okay. Initial count is loaded to TH0. The count initial count, which is stored into the upper byte of the timer, is now transferred into the lower byte of the timer, 54H. Clock pulse is applied to the timer. Count continues, 55H. Okay. Next clock pulse, it becomes 56H. Like this, it continues. This goes up to FFH. The last count is FFH. And the application of clock pulse, when it is already in the final count, what does the microcontroller does is, it will load the initial count, which is 54H, which is stored in the upper byte of the timer, is loaded to the lower byte of the timer whenever the timer reaches a final count of FFH. That means after FFH, see, in the earlier mode of operation, either timer 0, mode 0 or mode 1 operation, what will happen is, when it reaches the final count of FFH, it will be reset back to 00. But in mode 2 operation, when it reaches the final count of FFH, it will not be reset to 00, it will not be reset to 00H, where it happens like that in the mode 0 or mode 1 operation. It will be reset back to initial count, where initial count is loaded in the upper byte of the timer, and the lower byte of the timer is used as a timer or a counter. Okay, guys, we'll continue on this. We'll discuss more on this in the just a second, because more on this in the next class. Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you. Thanks for joining. Stay home. Stay safe. See you soon. Bye. First, I need to stop the timer. Sorry, stop the recording. Stop recording. Here we go. Yes. Thank you.